Good evening. How is everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody had a good day. We just got done eating dinner. Went to a funeral today. Wasn't so exciting. It was the funeral service of my buddy Jim that passed away. It's been about a month now, hasn't it? Yeah, a little over a month. Welcome, Phil. A little over a month ago, man. He died of an overdose. We lost him to the disease, and we had a service today. So kind of a tough day, but we got through it. Definitely got through it, and we're participating in our recovery. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it, man. This disease sucks, brother. Really does, man. We're losing people left and right, and it's not fun. Not fun, and it makes me really sad. So yeah, today was kind of a tough day, guys. It really was. But hey, we're going to talk about spiritual awakenings in recovery tonight. I've got Addi here sitting next to me. I'm going to bring her on here in a minute. Literally in the same room, but it gives us an opportunity to play with new streaming toys and cameras. And that way, when I have guests over here, we can see how it works. But yeah, I wanted to bring Addi on and share her experience, strength, and hope. She has a little over 5 years in the AlAnon program, so she has a lot of experience, strength, and hope that she can share and provide. So we're going to start off with the NA's reading today, which is where I kind of got the idea for the spiritual awakenings. And it's self-titled, For You Alone. You know, what does a spiritual awakening mean to you? And have you had one? Or do you even know what one is? We're going to bring it up. Says, for you alone, the idea of a spiritual awakening takes many different forms in the different personalities that we find in the fellowship, if you work a 12-step program. Says, though we all work the same steps, each of us experience the spiritual awakening resulting from them in our own way. It's going to be a unique experience for each and every one of us. Says the shape that the spiritual awakening takes in our lives, it's going to vary, guys. It's going to be different for each and every one of us, depending on who we are. Says for some of us, the spiritual awakening promised in the 12th step, and it's going to be the 12th step for literally any 12-step program because they're almost all the same, if not the same, will result in a renewed interest in religion and mysticism. Others will awaken to an understanding that the lives that are around them, experiencing empathy perhaps for the first time. You're showing empathy, you're showing care, you're showing understanding. That still others will realize that the steps have awakened them. Sorry, man, my eyes itching really bad. Says still others will realize that the steps have awakened them to their own moral and ethical principles. Says most of us experience our spiritual awakening as a combination of things. Each combination as unique as the individual who's been awakened. Says there are so many different varieties of spiritual awakenings, guys. Says how do we know if we've truly had one? Have you had one? 12th step provides us with two signs. We've found principles capable of guiding us well. What kind of principles do we want to practice in all of our affairs? What kind of principles do you guys want to practice daily? You know, what kind of person do you really want to be? It says, and we've begun to care enough about other addicts to freely share with them. Recover out loud, guys. How many times do I say that? Freely share with other addicts and alcoholics, the like-minded people of the rooms that we go into. Says with them and experiences that we've had. Our lived experience is a powerful tool in each and every one of our recovery toolboxes. Because no matter what the details of our awakening are, we are all given the guidance and love we need to live fulfilling, spiritually orientated lives. Because just for today, regardless of its particular shape, my spiritual awakening has helped me fill my place in the world with love and life. For that, I am truly grateful. I'm going to share one with you guys that I had when I was in recovery. This last go around, I was in the latter stages of graduating a 3-month program that I had self-admitted myself into. So I was closing in on roughly 3 months clean. And I had been asked to go share my experience, strength, and hope with the detox unit. These guys in the detox unit at the time, they looked up to us. We were 3 months, almost 3 months ahead of them. They're like, oh my gosh, if I can get 3 months clean, it's going to be amazing. So they asked us to share, and I decided to do it, and I was nervous as hell. Come to find out, I had been at this treatment center once before, one of my many stints of tries, and they took us up on the 5th floor of this building that I was in, the exact same floor that I was on the first time I'd ever been in that building, the first time I had tried at this building here in Dayton. And it was an eerie feeling because we walked into the same area, the exact same floor that I was on several years before, not months, not days, years before. And I walked in to this floor, and, already just had that feeling, that gut feeling, really uneasy. I was scared. And, I walked around the floor and I was talking to some of the guys. I was introducing myself. We had dinner with them. And about 30 minutes before, I was getting ready to share with these guys and do an open. I think we ended up doing an NA meeting. I chaired an NA meeting. I started walking around the floor and I walked past my old room that I was in while I was at that treatment center the first time. I broke this hand in 4 places while I was in that treatment center over a super toxic relationship that I was in that time. So those memories started coming back. Word of advice, old oak hospital doors, the really solid ones, when you punch them and they're shut, they don't move, guys. They do not move. So I broke my hand. Welcome, Ronnie. I see all you guys coming in here. I appreciate you guys being in. So I broke my hand. So right away, those memories came back. Ronnie knows what treatment center I'm talking about because there's only so many that have multiple floors here in Dayton. And I walked past the room. I kind of looked in. I didn't go in it. I was afraid to be honest with you. I really was. I went down the hall about 2 doors and I went to my old counseling room, our old group room where myself and 11 other guys held class every single day. And I jiggled the door handle and it was unlocked. And I said, wow. So I went in and it was a different room. It was kind of a library room at this point. And I sat down in the library just to take a deep breath and kind of meditate before the meeting started. And that's when it hit me, guys. That's when that awakening, that aha moment hit me. I could visualize where we all sat in that room, how many people were in the room, where each and every one of the guys sat, where the counselor sat. And I started thinking to myself, how many of us didn't make it? They tell you when you go into treatment that only one of you guys is going to make it out of the room, and I told myself, damn it, I'm going to be one of them guys. And, fortunately, by the grace of God, I was one of those guys. I honestly can only remember 3 men out of the 12 in that room that are still alive with us today. And this was just a short 2 years ago, guys. That was it for me. That was just one of a few that I've had that I can really remember that really floored me. I was overwhelmed with emotions. I felt I felt God. I felt his presence in that room. Like, go share. Yeah, I'm getting choked up about it now. Yeah, I know. It sucks. It don't suck, but go share your experience, strength, and hope. It was God telling me that everything is going to be okay. To go out there and share from the heart to these guys at this recovery center, and that you can do it. And I did, and it ended up being a really, really awesome meeting. And I was extremely grateful for that moment. Those little moments like that. I can remember moments with visual things outside, with birds and with rainbows, things that remind you of maybe lost ones, parents, love people that you love and care about. I think we all can relate, usually something of nature, something that your loved one was fond of or held near and dear to your heart, or to their heart, that we can relate to. That's what they mean to me, and that's how I've personally had one. I am going to bring Addi on, and she's going to share from the AlAnon side. This is the first time we've ever done this. This is where Addi's experience, strength, and hope comes from. Make sure you unmute your microphone. This is the first time we've tried this. We got dual microphones, dual cameras set up in here. So it's either going to work or it's going to hand grenade. So if things go crazy, I'll come back on, I promise. But here, I'm going to switch it over to Addi, and here she is.
Okay. I'm nervous, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. And then Joe told me I had to read on screen, which is a completely other form of me being nervous because I don't know, a lot of people that go to meetings with me, I'm severely dyslexic, and it's something that I have fought with my entire life, school, college, the whole thing. And so bear with me and give me some grace. So this, Joe told me that he was talking about spiritual awakenings. And so I dug through all my books because God knows I've got a stack of AlAnon books sitting here at the house. And I started going through looking at some of our daily books and just looking for the readings about spiritual awakening. This one is from AlAnon, Courage to Change, and it is actually January 26th. But it was the only one. It was the one that really kind of spoke to me about spiritual awakenings. So here we go. I'd read the 12th step many times before I saw it, but there it was, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. What a promise. If I worked these steps, I'd have spiritual awakening. There was hope even for me. Now that's not why I first came to Al-Anon. Like many, I came to find out how to make someone stop drinking. It was much later when I realized that my life was missing a sense of direction only a higher power could provide. Those wonderful 12-step words gave me the encouragement I needed to begin at the beginning slowly, sometimes painfully. I worked my way through the steps. In time, something amazing happened. I was filled with a sense of my God and his love for me. I felt whole. I knew I'd never be the same again. Today's reminder. The steps offer me a roadmap for living that led me to spiritual awakening and beyond. I can't skip ahead to the end of the journey, which can at times be hard. But I can put one foot in front of the other and follow the directions I've been given, knowing that others who have gone before me have received more along the way than they have had even dreamed. The first time I ever heard the 12 steps read at a meeting, I became very still. I felt I was not breathing. I was just listening with my whole being. I knew deep within me that I was home. And that's from As We Understand, which is another Al-Anon literature.
Let's hear your spin on
My
a
spin. Well,
spiritual awakening, or if you've had a spiritual awakening.
I've had several. A lot of people, man, they'll talk about, you hear spiritual awakenings in different people's stories, and it's this, oh, brilliant, like lights and butterflies and the whole thing. I've never had one of those. My spiritual awakening to me come in moments of clarity. Like as I'm experiencing something, my higher power, who I recognize as God, will open something up for me, and I will realize something, like something that had happened to me in the past. Like it will come up in my brain, and then it will just kind of make sense. Like I'll have that moment of clarity where I'm like, oh, okay, that starts to make sense. Or it's also a sense of peace to me. Like that serenity that I have in my life now is sort of that spiritual awakening for me. It's the not having to live my life in the drama that I lived in before. I mean, Joe's talked about on here many times, he was more addicted to the ripping and running and the chase. And that's kind of where I was come from too. I was
Yes.
addicted to the drama of fixing people and trying to better other people's lives and trying to just, I don't know, just create, not have to focus on my own self, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying there. I've focused so much on everybody else and worrying about what Sarah was doing over here and what Rachel was doing over there and what Joe was doing over there. I didn't have to worry about my stuff. I was like, if anybody's seen Friends, Monica's closet on Friends, it's her apartment's spotless, but you can't go in the closet. Don't look in the closet because that's where all the hot mess is. That was my life. It was like, oh, look at this. Look at everything here. Like, don't pay attention to everything that's happening behind me because it's a hot mess back there. And so now my spiritual awakening is that piece that I don't have to deal with all that bullshit that I dealt with before. I don't have to have drama. And, I came to a point that if stuff was quiet, I would create the drama because I needed it. I needed it to live. And now I don't. I read one of the readings from today, actually, Encouraged to Change. There was in the today's reminder, it was talking about, the line came from actually the book, Having Had a Spiritual Awakening. It said God was calling, but the only problem was that he kept getting a busy signal. And I loved that. And I was like, that was my life for so long, is that my higher power was trying to get a hold of me and we weren't on speaking terms. He was completely talking to me, but I was, no, we can't do this, because I blamed him for so many things. And I just, at that point, I needed somebody to hate, and that's who I picked. So that's my spiritual awakening, was, like I said, a moment of clarity and just the peace that I feel now. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does. I think she was on my paper because, like, I had wrote down other forms. Spiritual awakening can be different for each and every one of us, and she really touched on a lot of them. I wrote down, it's going to vary from person to person. It's going to be unique for each and every one of us. And, like for me, finding that newfound hope and freedom, being able to be of service and give back and help other people, be that hope to the hopeless, like Phil always says and is daily, like that's inspirational to me and a lot of other people. Because there was a point in my life where I was homeless and hopeless and I needed hope. Because I was borderline suicidal. I didn't want to be here anymore. So, that's an awakening for me, because I could never see myself doing this, being at this point in my recovery, where I'm at today. I couldn't see that almost 20 months ago. It's crazy how far I've came and how far I can go. Having that hope is an amazing thing. I'm really finding more and more about myself and who I am, my likes, my dislikes, my things I don't like so much. I'm finding out about me as a person, and that's an awakening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was so far gone and so far lost in the chaos and the ripping and running and the chase daily that I had lost myself. I was spiritually bankrupt. I was spiritually dead. And mentally, I was getting closer and closer daily. And physically, I had lost myself a few times and was brought back. So, I mean, I was spiraling out of control quickly. But, having that better understanding that Addie had mentioned, that clarity daily, that inspiration daily, um, having a routine, structure, stability. I mean, I could go on and on and on about spiritual awakenings and the blessings of recovery that just keep happening daily, that you can look at it as an awakening because I'm awake. I'm clear minded today. I know where I want to go. And I'm learning my likes and dislikes today. I'm changing. I'm changing each and every day. And there's a lot of gratitude in that. I can um, stick to the morals and values, the things that I believe in and I love and I care about today, where before it was so easy for me just to push it off or to sell myself short and limit myself, just to get what I wanted, just to get the next one, go against my morals and values, do things that I wouldn't normally do. And today, I have that clarity where I'm not going to do that. That along with the story that I shared from the treatment center, that's just a small part of it. I've had many other awakenings, that I could go on and on and on about that we could all relate to a spiritual awakening.
I think you kind of brought it up though too, talking about change. I think that is a spiritual awakening in itself.
Yeah.
It's that feeling that you realize that something isn't correct and that you need to change that. And I think that is something that God gives us. We've talked about it before, not you and I here, but you and I there in the living room. See, I really
We're literally in the
see,
same room.
I really am right here.
She's literally,
next to him.
that's finger coming in on my screen.
But we really when you ask God for patience, God doesn't, we've talked about this, God doesn't just sprinkle fairy dust down on you and say, poof, you're more patient.
Yeah.
God gives you those times where, and those people
Be careful
in your life that you need to be more patient with.
Be careful what you pray for.
If you ask to be more tolerant, again, there's no pixie dust. You're given situations to be more tolerant or more brave. Or here we are, I'm asking to be more brave, and here I am sitting, live on Facebook, or on the interwebs or wherever we're at right now. And
who calls it the interwebs anymore?
I'm old. I'm
older
I don't
than
know.
you are.
Huh?
I'm older than you are. Do any of you guys call it the interwebs? Who the hell calls it the interwebs?
Apparently I do. I'm taking it back.
Oh, Lord help me.
I'm taking it back.
No, it does. It takes a lot of courage, strength, and hope. A lot of humility and a lot of vulnerability, to share open and honest, what I like to say, butt naked honest, especially for those that may be out there struggling today, maybe contemplating going into a treatment center for the first time or the 9th time. It took me 9 tries. But I finally got it. Someone had planted and practiced step 12. And, water finally hit the seed. They planted the seed many, many, many times, time and time again. And I finally found the courage to change. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And it had gotten to that point in my life. And I had that epiphany, that awakening. I was literally driving in Fairborn, Ohio, working for AutoZone, delivering car parts, when I had another awakening. And I literally delivered the parts that I had in my car and turned back around, went back to work, dropped my keys on my boss's desk, and said, I've got to go to the hospital. I've got to go take care of myself. I have to keep myself number one. Can't do this anymore. And without him asking any questions, I think they kind of knew, there was something going on. Um, because I was the employee that on payday, I would leave 2 or 3 hours early, and you wouldn't see me for a day or two, and I'd have the mysterious flu. I'd have Grandma and Aunt Bertha and Aunt Betty would pass away. I would come up with any and every excuse I could come up with. I had many funerals and many aunts and relatives and family members that passed away during my time at AutoZone. I can say that. That's when I had my aha moment, and I literally called Addie, because she's been there for me, and has been super supportive of myself and my recovery, and hasn't put up with my bullshit.
Right, because a lot of you guys know some of our stuff, but we had dated prior to where we are now, and he was still actively using. And one day I randomly showed up at his house, too. I wasn't ever allowed to go there. Randomly showed up at his house, knocked on the door, said, "Hey, guess what? I'm done. Peace out. See you later." And I was gone. And so we probably hadn't talked for 3 or 4 months, maybe.
Yeah.
And I got this Joe popped up on my phone, and I was like, what's this son of a bitch want? Honestly, it was my complete first reaction, was like, oh, okay. Because, I was figuring he wanted money or something, was my first gut reaction. And then he told me that he's like, you were either at Woodhaven checking in, or you were on your way somewhere in that process. You're like, nope, I'm about to do this. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when I started going back to treatment. That's when I went back to Woodhaven. That's when Ronnie, that's on here listening tonight, met up with me again. Awesome guys. If you guys haven't heard Ronnie's testimony, he was one of my very first live streams I ever did.
Really good.
Amazing story of experience, strength, and hope. Ronnie comes from a CR, Celebrate Recovery background, and he brought Celebrate Recovery meetings to the guys in a recovery center every single Saturday night. And that's how Ronnie and I linked up. And he continues to be a huge inspiration of mine and many other people in the Dayton, Hamilton County, Butler County, Montgomery County, surrounding counties in this area. He's an amazing guy. If you guys haven't heard the story, check it out on YouTube or check it out on our site. It's there. It's not going anywhere. But yeah, that's how I got back into Woodhaven, and we stayed in communication. I'm not going to get too much into Addie and I's story because
we're going to do a thing.
Yeah, we're going to do a thing. I am currently in the making of the Q&A. Ask Joe and Addie. It's another reason why I wanted us to come on. Addie's always been in the background, and she's been a huge part of this live stream and a huge help to me, answering questions and sharing her experience, strength, and hope, and communicating with you guys in chat. This isn't easy to do. Phil and the guys that are on here that live stream and do the recovery stuff, know what's involved and what it takes in getting the things together. And sometimes you just go on and you wing it, and God speaks through us. You know what I mean? And sometimes we have to write notes down because apparently 20 plus years of drug abuse messes with your memory.
Hey, you know what? I don't have 20 years worth of drug abuse.
Well, I do.
But I know, but I don't. But that's my excuse. I have notes too, and I don't have that excuse to say 20 years worth of drug abuse.
Right.
I just have a shitty memory. So you at least have a reason.
Mine's pretty bad. Mine's really... I've got CRS, and you guys know what CRS is. You should. 'Cause I can't remember.
No. You can't. Many times.
Yeah.
Telling him. I told you. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. I did tell you. But anyway.
So yeah, we're going to do a Q&A with Joe and Addie. I'm glad this stream went well. It don't look like there was any crazy technical difficulties, which is awesome.
Yeah, nobody reported anything.
I'm so happy that each and every one of you guys joined in tonight and participated in your recovery. It is so important. Not only your recovery, but Addie and I's recovery. We love each and every one of you guys. We are going to do a Q&A soon. Not for sure exactly how soon yet. We'll discuss it, and I'll advertise it on the page as I normally do. But You guys can ask us anything. We'll probably tell a little bit about us more in depth and how we really met one another. And if you guys want to know any dirt on us, or
yeah, we'll answer.
we'll answer.
Just
You know
about
how
anything.
I am.
Yeah.
I can be pretty rated R for recovery. I'm a pretty open book, and I love to recover out loud, guys. And I like to get butt naked honest. I really, really do. Honesty is the key. Don't ever forget that. That was another spiritual awakening, a freeing moment for me, guys. When I found the ability at Woodhaven, of all places, to get completely honest, not only with the group of guys that I was sharing with, but with a counselor.
Tell a nutshell story about being at Woodhaven on your 18-month anniversary. That to me is just a huge awakening moment.
Yeah, she just reminded me, see, all these blessings of recovery and all these spiritual things that have happened in my life. Again, my memory, bear with me. If you guys got another 5 minutes, I'll tell this story really quick. When I celebrated my 18 months in recovery, the same day that I walked myself into the doors of Woodhaven here in Dayton, the exact same day, I was blessed with the new job that I work. I work in recovery now as a peer recovery specialist. I was blessed to walk someone into the doors of Woodhaven the exact same day I was celebrating my 18 months. So like literally, I seen myself in him. As I was walking him through the door, I was walking myself through the door on day one. My day one of detox, same as him. It was just one of those aha moments, and I didn't realize it, guys, when it was happening. I really didn't realize that it was my 18 months at that point. I was so focused on helping this guy and getting him into the doors and getting him through the intake process, making sure that he had everything that he needed. And I was walking out the door, and I was walking through the parking lot, and something just smacked me like, dumbass, turn around and look. Stop and think. Look at the building that you just walked out of. And I turned around, and the sun was shining on the windows of the building, and it just hit me all at one time. And I cried all the way to my car, and I sat in the parking lot at Woodhaven, sobbing like a little child, and could hardly catch my breath for like 10 minutes because I was like, wow. Yeah, so there's another one for you.
I think that's probably the best one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if that ain't God working in my life, I don't know what is, guys. I really don't. To be blessed with being able to give back and be of service and help another addict, another alcoholic that's struggling with this disease that I dread so much. If you didn't hear the beginning of the live stream, we were at a funeral service today. My buddy Jim had passed away a little over a month ago to an overdose, and he was a super close friend of mine. One of those brothers from another mother. He was super close to me. A lot of pictures of Jim and I out having a good time, and the disease got him, guys. Why it's so important to remain vigilant in your recovery daily.
I had a little bit of a spiritual awakening at that funeral today, to be honest.
Sure.
Listen to the preacher. My mom was a preacher, guys, and she died 5 years ago. We just celebrated, but her anniversary of her death was a couple weeks ago, and her birthday is actually on the 5th. So, that Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. So, for me to hear the sermon that I heard today at the funeral, I started to tear up a little bit. I actually went and talked to the preacher after the service, and it was one of the most poignant funeral sermons that I've ever heard. And it really connected with me. And I had some aha moments. I'm not going to get into everything because it's still something I'm processing right now. But I'm just saying, in that moment, I had some spiritual awakenings during the funeral service. We got a really good belly laugh, too.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. You can.
I'm telling the story. So we got to the part of the service where you know, you get to the microphone and you can go tell a memory or a funny story or whatever about our friend. And this lady, black lady, come walking in. We didn't know, nobody recognized her. Like, she was not
No clue
part
who
of
she
our
was.
group. I had no idea. So she just randomly wanders up to the microphone and she goes, I don't even know this guy. I don't even know why I'm here, but I'm going to come up and talk anyway. And this woman just started
Totally did.
going on about, I can't even tell you what, but just going on about everything. And it was just, we're looking at each other trying not to laugh during the funeral. But after we got to the car, we're like, what the hell? Just like, we were waiting for Ashton Kutcher to jump out of the baptismal font and be like, y'all are getting punked right now. But it didn't happen. But
Totally.
that's what we were waiting for.
Totally thought we were getting punked at the funeral. We did. It was crazy. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
But this is, we talk about this all the time, finding those positive moments in bad situations. Those being able to laugh and being able to see the funnier side of life. My higher power has a sense of humor. And I see that all the time, and especially in this situation. Like, this lady was like, I'm totally crashing this funeral. I have nothing to do on this Sunday afternoon. I'm just going to go hang out.
You guys avert a wedding crashers. Well, we had funeral crashers today. It was amazing. It was definitely an experience.
It was fun.
You know, my buddy Jim. He would have thought it was hilarious. Yeah. He's laughing upstairs right now. Trust me. He's laughing at the experience that we went through today. And we did. We laughed about it and we looked at the positive in it. You know, the old thought process and behaviors with me, I probably would have got really upset. And I didn't. So yeah, it was an interesting funeral service,
it was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Funeral service, it was amazing.
Well, there you go, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you guys listening tonight. I'm going to continue to participate in my recovery here in about 20 minutes. I've got a meeting I got to go to. So I am going to get off of here and get things ready to hop on an NA meeting in Tennessee. I love each and every one of you guys. Continue to think of questions for Addi and I. I know a few of you have sent us messages. I still have the answers and the questions that you guys are wanting to ask us saved. You can send them to the Dayton Strong Recovery 101 webpage on Messenger or on WhatsApp. Please share the stream, guys. You never know who may need to hear it. Thanks each and every one of you guys that are on here tonight. Thanks, Phil, for joining in. Ronnie, Michelle, you crazy woman, you, Heather, Anya. I see a few of you guys. I'm not scrolling through them all. I love each and every one of you guys.
You guys are awesome.
You guys are awesome. You're all rock stars. Participate in your recovery. Remain vigilant. I love you guys. We'll talk to you guys later.